In California, in December 2015, a verdict was announced. Hunter Moore, aged 28, was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison and fined $500,000. This verdict had been eagerly awaited by numerous victims throughout the world.
I felt very liberated because something actually happened and he was actually put away for something that he did, because that's what he deserved.
Behind this youthful face and this teenage appearance hid a man known as the king of revenge porn. With his website, Is Anyone Up, launched in 2010, Hunter Moore popularized a new form of pornography consisting of private, very intimate photographs posted online without the consent of those striking the pose.
It seemed like it was a selfie taken in a bedroom or in a bathroom, as opposed to kind of professional photos or ones that were taken by somebody else. Most of them did seem to be selfies.
Hunter Moore was an enfant terrible of the late noughties, when the advent of smartphones and social networks saw the world transformed. This trash guru used his powers of seduction to build up a massive online following.
I say he's a charismatic leader. He's like Charles Manson. Charles Manson was a charismatic leader. He gets people to follow him, people to worship him, people to love him.
He could literally say he was God and people would have believed it. Because, most of the people that looked at the website and checked it were just, children.
Hello, hello, all my beautiful fucking children.
A past master of self-promotion, he inundated the web with ever more juicy details of his private life until he became a brand name. But this fake transparency was actually a smokescreen. It's still not clear which parts of his virtual persona were true and which were false.
A lot of the things that were said never happened. It's like a reality TV show. You want to believe.
Across America, from east to west, witnesses have been shedding new light on his story. His best friend, his lawyer, and the women who finally brought him down all describe him as a manipulative and provocative character. In the space of about 4 years, this brat shattered all our certainties about people's right to a private life. Hunter Moore was born in 1986 in Woodland, California. This nondescript suburb was a far cry from glamorous Los Angeles or trendy San Francisco. He grew up in this house with his big sister and his parents. In short, Hunter Moore came from an ordinary middle-class American family. Surrounded by so much normality, he was a rebellious teenager.
His mother indicated that his behavior now was very consistent with his behavior as a child, that he had been, that he'd had a very normal upbringing, but had always been sort of out of control and unable to be managed or disciplined.
He went to the local Catholic high school, but was expelled for bad behavior, an anecdote he would often repeat to the press years later. But you can't take Hunter Moore's word for anything. According to the school office, his name doesn't even appear on their database. One thing is certain, Hunter wasn't exactly a star pupil. He dropped out of school for good in 2000 at the age of 14.
He dropped out of school early. He never graduated because he told me he just wasn't interested in it. He didn't want to be in the classroom. He didn't feel like there's anything he could learn there that was going to help him.
Like any American teenager, he tried his hand at skateboarding and listened to heavy metal. But his real passion was the one he pursued alone at home, in his bedroom. This was the start of the millennium, a bygone era when YouTube didn't exist and Google only had 8 employees. Hunter was already addicted to the internet, which was still in its infancy, consisting mainly of chat rooms and forums. In 2003, age 16, he joined the first social networks, creating his own MySpace page.
Hunter Moore est
Hunter Moore
à la
was
fois
a
un pur
product
produit
of
de
his
l'époque et un
time and an
internaute
internet user
comme les
like any
autres de
other
son
at his
âge, j'ai envie de
age.
dire. C'est-à-dire
We all went through a
on
phase
a
of
tous
being
eu
on
cette phase où
MySpace.
effectivement on était sur MySpace,
We made
on
friends
se faisait
on
des amis
MySpace.
sur MySpace, je découvrais de nouveaux amis sur
We made
MySpace,
new friends
on
on
dialoguait, on
MySpace.
échangeait, etc.
We
Et c'est vrai que c'est quand même à
chatted
partir
and
de là
shared things.
qu'on commence à
That's
avoir
definitely when social
on va
networking
dire
started.
un réseau
in,
social
well, the
au
modern
sens
sense
moderne
of the
du
term.
terme, tel qu'on les connaît aujourd'hui.
Hunter wasn't interested in much else beside the web. In 2005, in Sacramento, he attended this hairdressing college. He even obtained a diploma. But his career in hairdressing never went any further.
He didn't really have any responsibilities or a job. I know he did hair, but he never really wanted to do what you have to do when you start doing hair, which is paying your dues, which is, you know, starting from scratch, just working at a salon, being an assistant, sweeping hair. He didn't want to do that. He wanted just to fuck off, I guess. He just wanted to do whatever.
Carlos Giacome became his best friend a few years later. He remembers him as a dabbler, but very skilled at making a fast buck.
I never really knew what he did to make money. I just knew that he just had money somehow. I do know how he had money. There was something that happened, so he sued the person for sexual harassment, and I don't know, he got a lot of money from that, so I guess he just kind of used some of that money, and then he would just travel.
In 2007, Hunter finally came of age and left his humdrum life. For the next 3 years, he traveled in Australia and Japan. He's always kept quiet about this period of his life. But these rare images found on MySpace didn't exactly show him visiting museums or admiring the landscape. When he came back to America, this boy from Woodland was a changed man. Now his interests centered him almost exclusively around partying. He toured the country, working as a manager for a small Californian rock band. It was during one of these tours that he made friends with Carlos.
We made friends immediately. We were very similar in some things. He was like a fun guy. Like he was someone who was funny. He's hilarious. He didn't really care. That's like, I think that's what was, I guess, cool about this person. He just didn't care about anything or anyone, or he just wanted to party.
At that time, this young man was already showing an interest in photography, at least in a certain type of photograph.
He's good at using people, manipulating people, getting girls to do what he wanted. Getting girls naked was the easiest thing for him. I think like it was an everyday thing. Being on tour, he would just show me, nudes all the time.
In 2010, Hunter turned 24. Back at his parents' house in Woodland after 3 years of travel, he still had no real skills, apart from partying and a perfect command of the internet, of course. Things had moved on a lot since the days of chat rooms and early social networks. The Californian was now more connected than ever on Facebook. Inspired by this model, he launched his own site, which he called Is Anyone Up? It was a rudimentary platform where party animals could chat about their nights out. It was around this time, in October 2010, that lawyer Reza Sina met Hunter. Hunter excitedly told him about his idea.
His website was kind of a little pet project for him. He liked it. It was fun for him. It was for the San Francisco community. It really was looking exactly what the name of the website is Anyone Up? He would be 4 or 5 in the morning and he'd be like, hey, who else is up in San Francisco? What are you doing? And it was like a chat message board and people would discuss it. And he was telling me about it. He said it was pretty cool. He was excited.
He would be at home in Sacramento and he wouldn't leave his house or apartment. And then he would just stay home editing or whatever and going through all the submissions. And he would never really go out. He would just kind of stay working on this website.
It was pure chance that took the party website to the next level. One evening, Hunter was talking to his friends on Is Anyone Up? To entertain the group, he shared a photograph of his girlfriend, nude. Soon, everyone was trying to outdo one another.
I mean, you can imagine it's 4 or 5 in the morning, someone's still up and something's on their mind and they want to call someone out or embarrass someone. So they're like, hey, look at this. And then they sent a picture and it was like, oh, you know what? That gives me an idea. I hated this girl and this was my ex. And then they sent a picture.
It was a stupid joke which could have stopped there. But things soon escalated.
One time on Facebook, I was checking and everyone's just putting Is Anyone Up for everything. Or he would just post it on his status, just Is Anyone Up? And I had no idea. I just honestly thought that was just him being like, oh, is anyone up? Like, chat with me, let's flirt, or whatever. Let me see a picture of my dick, or whatever. I don't know. But yeah. And then I found out about it and I called him. And I was like, well, what are you doing? What is this? He's like, oh, remember, like, getting all this girl's nudes.
The nude photos attracted new internet users. It was still a party website, but now a series of increasingly risque photographs were being posted. They all had one thing in common. They were amateur photos taken from real life, all posted without the consent of the people concerned. These people's nudity had been stolen. The photos were crude and explicit. This was the birth of revenge porn.
They were, very explicit photos. A lot of times it was selfies. It'd be somebody in a bathroom taking a photo of their face and their boobs, or like, large penises, small penises. There was a great variety of people's intimate parts on the site, but they all did have this sense of intimacy.
Every time, every month, it was like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. People would wait every day for the post.
Alone in his bedroom on the quiet streets of Woodland, Hunter decided to cash in on this growing audience and devote his whole website to revenge porn.
And then suddenly, out of nowhere, it really got spiked up and became a much more popular website. And that's when he came to me and said, hey, I want to make this into a corporation of some sort. I don't know what kind of corporation to do it. And I need advice because it's growing way faster than I anticipated. It went from having like 50 hits a day to 100,000. So that's when I became involved as an attorney.
By the end of 2010, Is Anyone Up showed nothing but revenge porn. Hunter Moore had taken full advantage of a major technological turning point. Since the successful release of iPhone in 2007, the world had changed, with everybody now in possession of a smartphone. Smartphones became indispensable new tools, making photography an everyday activity for all. Habits were being revolutionized, even the most intimate.
I think it was a period of time in which everybody had a smartphone. The smartphones had front-facing cameras, and it was very, very easy to take photos of yourself. And it was very easy to take photos of yourself naked. And because so many of our relationships now are mediated digitally, I mean, I think it completely makes sense that sending people naked photos is a way that we exist as sexual beings, and that it becomes part of relationships.
2010 was a turning point. The concept of privacy was turned upside down. Mark Zuckerberg, co-founder of Facebook, announced in public that privacy was no longer a social norm. Hunter took advantage of those blurred boundaries. He posted on his website a screen grab of the Facebook page of each of his victims. Their private lives were suddenly on show for all to see. In their profile photos, they were often smiling innocently. Then, further down the page, there would be photos which never should have been made public.
We all had Facebook accounts, and we put lots of photos there and information about ourselves and our whole social networks and our events and what we like to do. We as a society had started to really expose ourselves. So for me, he was kind of this ominous force, this preview of the dark things that would come from all of this transparency online that we had embraced.
In a society saturated with images, proponents of revenge porn seem not to know where the moral boundaries are anymore. For them, whether private or public, all photos are the same and to be shared indiscriminately. Amanda Collins discovered Is Anyone Up in its early days. When she found out that her boyfriend had been unfaithful to her, she decided to get her revenge.
Later on, I found out that they had had a girlfriend, which I didn't know about. And I just sent the pictures over with their Facebook, but they didn't get posted. Because at that time, I think at that time the website was just gaining so much popularity that people were just sending in so much that he couldn't get to it. Everyone that does it for the reason I did it for is just, it's a little bit of hurt. It's a little bit of hurt, it's a little bit of betrayal. And it's just, you made a fool out of me, I'm gonna make a fool out of you.
Gradually, Hunter Moore encouraged visitors to the site to leave comments and give their opinions on each photo. The tone was sometimes light-hearted, but more often than not, it was incredibly vulgar, sometimes even violent.
And lips on her tit, oh dear God, would destroy her.
At the beginning, it was, if someone had put a picture up on there, people would make fun of them, people would have nasty comments, and then as the website got more popular, the comments just got even nastier and just rude and almost borderline disgusting, where girls just got ripped apart by both guys and girls, where guys mostly just got looked at as a joke and people would laugh. But girls, whether they were pretty or not so attractive, either way, they just got ripped to shreds online.
Hunter hadn't just created another porn site, he'd launched a real social network.
Quelque part,
in a way, Is Anyone Up
c'est
the nemesis
la
of
némésis
all other
presque
social
de n'importe quel
networking
autre réseau
sites.
social, c'est-à-dire que
It
ça
resembles a
ressemble
social
à
networking
un
site.
autre réseau social.
It could
Ça
have been
pourrait
just
être
another
n'importe
platform
quelle
where people
plateforme
could comment,
sur
share
laquelle
and
effectivement
chat.
on peut commenter,
But
partager,
its
échanger,
intention
etc.
to
Sauf que ça
humiliate
poursuit
was
effectivement un
hateful.
but qui est un but crapuleux, d'humiliation, etc.
Online, Hunter did all he could to sustain the interest of his followers. From his bedroom, he set up daily meetings to keep the group interested. There were theme days, including one named Daily Nargoyles. This was real public humiliation. Entering into the spirit, some people even ended up posting their own photos for fun.
It's the only place that people can see what he's doing. That's why. So he was able to use all those tools to drive his creation, which was exactly that, which was to show people in vulnerable situations. And unfortunately, a lot of people take interest in that and think it's entertainment. And he played to that.
But for the victims of these sites, there's nothing funny about revenge porn. Photographs were circulated at an alarming rate. Barely posted, they could be downloaded and shared again. This proliferation of images was worrying, but nobody knew how to protect themselves from revenge porn. At that time, Hunter was protected from any lawsuits against him by the Communications Decency Act.
In the US, we have something called the Communications Decency Act, which is funny. It's an ironic name, but it basically protects platforms from being sued for things that people write on them. And so Hunter Moore was very aware of this and said, I'm protected by the Communications Decency Act, Section 230. It's not me who's posting these photos. It's my readers. It's my users.
In his role as intermediary, Hunter was beyond reproach. But the isolated complaints started to accumulate. Desperate victims were sending him email after email, begging him to remove their photos. But Hunter refused to deprive his followers of this scandalous content.
When I say, hey, take down the picture. You have 100,000 pictures. Take this one down. I said, in fact, you should just have a policy. If someone comes to you and asks it to be taken down, just take it down. It's not worth it. You don't want the legal battles, and it's the right thing to do.
Most of the victims targeted were girls. Kayla Laws was one such victim. And later she went on to declare war on Hunter Moore. But when she first appeared topless on Is Anyone Up in 2012, she'd suffered a violation of her privacy, which left her vulnerable.
There was a screenshot of my Twitter account on the website. And so a lot of people started messaging me and direct messaging me and making comments on my Twitter account about the photo. Like they would be like, damn girl, you look good. Like I'd hit that, or, I want to F you and like stuff like that, just really vulgar things. So I stopped pursuing acting and I didn't want to work at that restaurant anymore. It just, everything became toxic for me, and everyone I was around knew about it.
Carrie Goldberg is one of the few lawyers to specialize in the field of non-consensual online pornography. It's a cause which is close to her heart.
I've been a lawyer for 8 years. I was somebody's target, and I learned a lot about internet privacy and harassment and the limits of what a person can be restricted from doing. And when I got to the other side of my problem, I left my job and I started this practice. And I was hoping to help victims of internet privacy and revenge porn, but I didn't realize that it would grow into such a big thing and that it would be all that I do.
Carrie Goldberg knows from experience that the police pay little attention to victims of revenge porn, often making them feel responsible.
In this day and age, there's really just no membrane between online and offline life. We do everything online. I mean, it's where we shop, it's where we eat, it's where we communicate with our family and relatives, and there isn't any distinction. So it's kind of foolish for people to say, to victims who are being harassed, just close your laptop, go outside. This is just happening offline. No, in fact, it's not.
Exposed on the web, victims of revenge porn lose all control of their image. Some of them never recover from this public humiliation.
There are victims that have committed suicide. Raeda Parson, Audrey Pott, Tyler Clementi. I mean, it is actually a true fact that the horror of being exposed online is so awesome and major that people feel so that desperate, where they can't go on anymore. They don't see a life beyond this.
Lost in his virtual universe, Hunter Moore showed no empathy. It was as if the victims had ceased to be real to him. On special daily hate days, he made public the complaints he received. On one such day, a man announced that his niece had committed suicide.
This is the psycho uncle who is mad his niece killed herself because of your site.
Remaining resolutely cynical, Hunter Moore wasn't at all bothered about the consequences of his actions. In this article, he announced,
I'm gonna sound like the most evil but let's be real for a second. If someone killed themselves over being on the site, do you know how much money I'd make? At the end of the day, I don't want anybody to hurt themselves, but if they do, thank you for the money.
Is Anyone Up was by now a successful startup. On his website, Hunter launched spin-offs, including a brand of t-shirts with slogans on the front. The website was funded by advertising.
He told me the way that he was making money was purely through internet ads, just the ads that were around the site. And when we talked in the summer of 2011, he told me he was making $8,000 a month, which is, a pretty good salary. And then a few months later, in another profile, talking to another journalist, he said he was making $13,000 per month because he had more visitors.
Kid from Woodland was gradually becoming a rock star, a virtual rebel whose life revolved around a constant flow of communication conducted from his bedroom.
He had a computer, a monitor, just for Twitter. His Twitter was like going on like every, second. It was like people just tweeting at him and girls sending nudes, and he would repost the news that they would send, and yeah, that was like a big thing. I mean, he had a lot of followers on it.
A group of worshippers soon formed around him. This community was more than just a group. His followers claimed they were part of a family of which Hunter was their guru, their charismatic father.
He would have these challenges, I guess, just to see how far people would take it, to see how far he could push the envelope and what people would do, and to get hashtags trending. They were usually all vulgar. I think one was, a peeing challenge, where it was just challenges of where to pee and something like that. It was always something vulgar, just to see if these people would actually do it, and people would.
I
don't know if this happened more on the internet than elsewhere, but there was a fascination with people who bent the rules. It's the old myth about gangsters or criminals.
En plus, ça attire encore plus l'œil quand la personne en question est visible, nous parle et nous apostrophe. C'est-à-dire que si vous suiviez plutôt
If you follow more on Twitter, it feels as if he's addressing you personally.
Il nous apostrophe nous, donc forcément,
and that form of direct communication is obviously
médiation directe qui est assez étrange, quoi.
So guys, Hunter Moore. This is a continuation of my educational series.
Hunter set up his own channel on YouTube with a series of tutorials. He taught sessions on life and sex according to Hunter Moore, in which idiotic provocation and dubious humor were the norm.
Pros and why hooking up with fat girls is way better than hooking up with hot girls. Now, don't get me wrong, hot girls are badass, but with the fat chick, it's almost magical because, in a sense, they're hungry, and when you have someone that big who likes to put stuff in their mouth, why not your penis too? So
this obsessive self-promotion culminated in a story that's legendary in the world of pornography.
With fat chicks and why they are better. So
one evening in the summer of 2011, Hunter Moore was assaulted in front of his house. A victim of his website stabbed him with a biro pen. The next day, he posted a photograph of his wound on the website. The story was so incredible, it doubled the number of hits in the space of a few days. After this extraordinary incident, the king of revenge porn appeared in several major American magazines, such as The Village Voice or Rolling Stone. They printed the story word for word, but the attack with the biro was pure fiction.
He never got stabbed in the shoulder with a pen. He claimed to be, no, that didn't happen. He had a tumor, he got a surgery, he got a scar, and then told people that this happened. I remember this for a fact.
But when he put that, it sparked new interest. It was something new material for the website, and people started going back on it. And he realized that while the submissions are down, he can fabricate stuff and alter the website to make it seem like it's still a lot going on, new things are happening.
After this ingenious piece of marketing, Hunter's arrogance was seriously starting to bother people. Having endured the abuse of its website for too long, Facebook was the first to retaliate. On the 6th of December 2011, Hunter Moore was banned for life from the social network site.
Facebook has disabled your personal profile.
Yeah, I'm fucked from Facebook. Facebook actually has, I'm from San Francisco, so I know a million people that work at Facebook, and I want to fight every single one of them, but they have a custom code for me to delete me. Like my IP, I've rented proxies, they found out my proxy IP, like nerdy ass shit, and they got me. It's fucked, so.
True to his reputation, Hunter responded with insolence and sent a photo of his penis. But the sanction came too late. Hunter had already moved on to the next phase. He was now setting up real-life meetings with followers. He organized Is Anyone Up parties across America, learning how to DJ as he went along. In New York, the meeting place was Webster Hall, a legendary club that can hold up to 2,500 people. Prince and U2 had both played there.
I can't even see the fucking controller right now, I'm so fucked up.
Hunter Moore always took everything to the next level. There was no two ways about it. He was out of control. Carlos often accompanied Hunter and remembers the general hysteria.
These people would go crazy because in their idea of what they're expecting from us anyone at a party was, we're gonna go there and go buck wild, get wasted, do a lot of drugs, get naked, get fucked, meet a girl, whatever. So that's what it was. So if you were a person that never really had that experience on your own, you knew that you could get that by going there. Because you knew that there were other people going there with the same mentality.
He was running all over the country, doing interviews. He was DJing parties, DJ Hunter Moore from isanyoneup.com. It became, they would pay him like $2,500 or whatever they would pay him. Hey, come DJ the party, and they would put his face on a flyer. And he just, at that point, he was just living, enjoying what he created and trying to take the fruits of it.
Being surrounded by his worshippers for the first time in real life, he was experiencing his hour of glory. Hunter Moore was transformed by all these parties.
And every time he would come to party, he would be on a completely different level. He would be drinking a lot more, using a lot more drugs, cockier, angrier, feeling that he was invincible. And at that point, the more he became that person, Hunter Moore, the more he became the most hated man of the internet, the more I started realizing that that friend that I first met in the beginning, that person, it was a completely different human.
What with his fame in the virtual world, and now these incredible parties, Hunter Moore felt invincible, to such an extent that he cut himself off from the few people who'd stood by him.
This is the moment that we stopped being friends. There was a party, so they won a party that was happening in Long Island, New York. I lived there at the time. He would stay with me every time, and we were there, and there were a ton of people. There was this one girl that he wanted to hook up with, and he accused me of trying to make a move on this girl that he was, when all I wanted was to talk to her friend. So I looked at him and I said, "You're serious. You can't be serious right now. I'm the only person who is your friend. None of these people are your friends."
Hunter Moore was out of control on his website too, and was losing his early supporters.
The website took a direction that I wasn't comfortable with dealing with it. I didn't like getting emails and calls about people saying, "Hey, take down my picture. I can't find a job." It was out of control. And I started to really disagree with what the website was about.
By this stage, Hunter Moore was bragging to the press that his website was getting 5 million hits a month. Hundreds of photographs had been posted. It was one of those photographs which led to his downfall. It was January 2012. Hunter Moore had posted a new photograph on Is Anyone Up? The picture had been taken several months earlier, in a house in a posh suburb of Los Angeles. Alone in her bedroom, Kayla had taken a topless photo of herself. There were hundreds of selfies like this on Hunter's website, only this time, the photograph hadn't been shared with anyone else.
I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't send the photo to anybody. It was literally privately saved in my email in a folder just titled My Pics. And I would have photos of my family, my dogs. You know, I have family back in New York, and dishes of food that I made that I was proud of. And then photos of me, you know, topless, or sexy photos of me in lingerie, and photos I just wanted to keep of myself because I thought I looked good. I didn't think that they were ever going to be taken by anybody. It was private, and I never sent it to anybody. So I was in shock, and I didn't know how to react.
Kayla immediately told her mother, Charlotte Laws. Charlotte had lived 1,000 lives as a writer, a political activist, and a TV presenter. She'd also been a private detective for several years. Horrified, she took the affair in hand. At this point, she knew nothing about Is Anyone Up and its founder. But she went online and soon discovered the man she was preparing to go to war with.
There was a lot of press on him, and I was able to research that. I was able to find information from so-called victims saying, Hunter Moore's big and bad, don't go after him. Don't ask him to remove your content or he'll come after you even worse.
Far from being discouraged, Charlotte set to work. First, she sought to get any photos of her daughter removed from the website as quickly as possible. She sent her first email.
Dear Hunter, please remove all photos of Kayla Laws.
She got no reply, so she tried another strategy: harassment. One by one, she contacted everyone who was in contact with Hunter Moore, hoping to touch a raw nerve.
I also was reaching out to anyone and everyone associated with Hunter Moore because I wanted to put pressure on all of them to help. So I contacted his attorney, Ray Zacina, on multiple occasions. I contacted the head of his internet security company. I contacted his mother. I was trying to call his mother. I called her workplace, but she had left that workplace. So I talked to her former associates, and they were like all huddled around the phone going, "Oh my God, I can't believe he has a site like that." And then apparently it got back to Hunter and his mom, because then Hunter put on Twitter, "Oh, someone just called my mom's former workplace."
Strategy worked, and in less than 10 days, Hunter finally removed the photographs. But Charlotte didn't stop there. She hadn't forgotten that the topless photograph of her daughter had never been shown to anyone else. Convinced that Kayla's computer had been hacked, she continued her investigation.
My daughter was up there. She's noticed one of her friends was up there. And so I talked to her friend's husband, and they said they were hacked as well. And so I thought, see, I didn't know anything about revenge porn before my daughter's case, and now her friend's case, and they were both hacked. So the only two people I knew in this entire world were hacked people. So I thought to myself, I wonder how many other hacked people are on Hunter Moore's website.
She spent weeks collecting the names of Hunter Moore's latest victims. She contacted each of them and patiently listened to their stories. Her investigation exposed Hunter Moore's biggest lie yet.
And that's when I started reaching out to all these victims. I started contacting people who were depicted on the site to find out how they got on there and doing a study. And that's when I came to learn that 40% of the people had been hacked, 12% had been photoshopped.
Charlotte Laws had found the flaw that could topple the king of revenge porn. Is Anyone Up might have been protected under the Communications Decency Act, but hacking was most definitely a federal crime in the US. Charlotte had to call on all her strength of character to convince the FBI to listen to her.
So I contacted the FBI, and the FBI initially said, just file a report online. And I knew that meant that they were just too busy with other cases and weren't going to do anything. So I said, oh, I see. You help Scarlett Johansson when she gets hacked, but you don't help the average person. And the person on the other line, on the other end of the phone says, okay, just a minute, let me transfer you to a detective.
For Charlotte Laws, the gloves were off. To increase the pressure on Hunter Moore, she told the media about her investigation. And on the 12th of May 2012, the affair was brought out into the open. Panic-stricken, Hunter tried to make himself invisible.
So that was the point at which he actually took Is Anyone Up down. And then the Village Voice, reported that the federal government was actually investigating him, that there were some serious legal charges. And when Hunter Moore took it down, he said, I'm sick of bullying. Like, I think the world's a better place without Is Anyone Up. But what was really going on is that, the FBI was coming after him, and I think he got scared.
For the first time, Hunter Moore was marking time. His business had gone under, but he was so addicted to celebrity that he failed to lie low for long. He kept frantically protesting his innocence on Twitter.
He kept denying it and denying it and denying it. He knew the truth, and he just kept wanting to cover it up because he didn't want anyone to start hating him, because really, he just wanted to be loved.
Hunter continued doing what he knew best, provoking. In a series of tweets, he targeted his adversaries, thus making the names of Charlotte and Kayla Laws public.
It was totally a war for me, and it became a bigger and bigger war as Hunter Moore learned my identity. Then his followers started coming after me. I mean, I got death threats, I got computer viruses.
We even had someone come out into the front yard and sit there, and then we walked up to them and said, you know, can we help you? And he rushed off, almost crashing into like a wall. And he drove by like on 2 separate days.
It became a huge, huge battle. And it became kind of scary because when you have all these people making threats, you don't know who they are. They're faceless. You don't know if they're guys who just got out of prison who have a gun or if they're just kids playing around trying to make you scared.
Then, an unexpected ally joined forces with Charlotte Laws. In December 2012, a mysterious group of hackers called Anonymous published this video on the web. Operation Get Hunter was launched.
Anonymous, which at the time was orchestrating a lot of public campaigns against people that they thought were doing bad things. So, you know, they'd gone after Scientology, and then they decided they wanted to go after Hunter Moore.
And so the underground group Anonymous called me, and they said, and it was a guy from a Southern guy, I believe from Kentucky, actually. And he said, we know that Hunter Moore and his followers are attacking you on Twitter, and don't worry, we're going to protect you.
A few weeks later, Hunter Moore's personal data was hacked and made accessible to all.
They crashed his personal website. They put out a bunch of personal information, including a social security number on the internet. And they gave me some information on how to beef up my security for my network and my computer.
As for the FBI, they made some staggering discoveries. Investigators discovered that since 2011, Hunter had been calling on a man named Charles Evans to hack into private computers and steal photos. This mail shows the precise instructions given to the hacker.
6 guys and 6 girls.
Obsessed with the popularity of his website, the king of revenge porn had overstepped the mark, paying up to $250 for these stolen photos.
He would say that he needed, you know, not just the regular girls, he needed prettier girls. You know, the website needed better content. He needed more attractive girls.
The FBI carried out a search of the home of Hunter Moore in Woodland. For the first time, the most hated man on the internet sensed that he was really in danger.
One day, I got a phone call while I was in a trip with my family, and the phone call was, "Hey, the FBI's at my door." And I was like, you have big boy problems now, Hunter. This isn't small claims. This isn't someone telling you to take down my pictures. Like, take this seriously, and you need to hire a lawyer to do it.
He knew all these things were happening, but he thought that these were all unrelated. He didn't know that I started the FBI investigation. He didn't know all this stuff was completely related, and that we had all these, you know, we had an entire coalition built. He didn't know that, and that's why I think he was depressed. He could not believe that the victims had fought back against him.
In February 2014, Hunter Moore was finally arrested at his home by the Sacramento police. He went on trial in 2015 and was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison and fined $500,000 for the unauthorized access of a computer and aggravated identity theft. Is Anyone Up might have been a short-lived phenomenon, lasting just 2 years. But its impact has turned our notions of voyeurism and privacy upside down.
He's a charismatic leader. He's like Charles Manson. Charles Manson was a charismatic leader. He gets people to follow him, people to worship him, people to love him.
He just had a great way of manipulating people and making them think that he didn't do anything wrong. And I don't know how he did it. And to be honest, it was somewhat of a gift because not many people can do what he did. But it was not a good thing. And I feel like most criminals are good at what they do.
Hunter Moore is due to be released from prison in 2018. Meanwhile, the question of revenge porn remains unresolved.
So he wasn't actually arrested because of revenge porn. He was arrested because of identity theft and impersonation and the hacking charge. So he could have continued operating his website quite possibly had he not been obtaining the images that way.
Gradually, US states are passing laws to protect victims, but several revenge porn websites are still active today. The issue of privacy on the internet is far from settled.